So we're drinking Mike's. This is Mike's offering, Bib and Tucker. What is this?
Single batch bourbon whiskey, or single barrel. Single batch? Single something.
It's really hard to see in the video. It's beautiful.
Single barrel or single malt?
Single batch.
No, it's not single malt. It's not a scotch.
Single batch.
It's not a scotch. Okay.
Single batch bourbon whiskey.
Bourbon whiskey.
Really
it's small, it also says small batch bourbon whiskey on the label.
Small batch, yeah. Now, if you're watching at home, and I know one of you is, definitely...
Two, possibly.
Possibly two people. Look up Bib and Tucker bourbon whiskey on the internet. Google Images has a picture of the really beautiful bottle. It's kind of shaped. It's shaped exactly like Bullet bourbon, but it's got like a nice little embossed logo on the bottle itself, and then kind of a parchment paper label, which looks very well designed.
Yeah, this is one of the more nice looking bottles I've seen.
Wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
So you're gonna introduce us, or
After we drink.
Okay.
Cheers.
Salud.
Cheers. Great to see you guys.
Same here.
You as well. I got just pure molasses. Like that's what I'm smelling right off the top. Like black strap molasses.
I smell that, yeah.
I'm lousy at the smelling game. Like perpetually, I can never tell. Like
I have a lot of trouble
wine.
describing also, like taste and smell. I just can tell you if I like it or not.
Yeah.
You know what I try to do? I think we all have the same thing, but what I try to do is see what I can smell and then read the notes and then see if I can like envision that actually being something I can smell. And so you can dig out the smell
can I read the
afterwards.
notes?
Yeah. You can read the notes on there. And I remember reading somewhere in here there was where is it? It knows an earthy scent, notes of leather, barley, chestnut, and grass. Smells a little on the young side with evidence that it was aged for 6 years in a barrel. Mm-hmm. The palate, much like the nose, has an earthy base to it. Hints of cinnamon, however, it's licorice that stands out the most. Interesting.
I got licorice.
Well, I guess
I can see
molasses
licorice,
and
yeah.
licorice kind of are similar, right?
Licorice and molasses?
Yeah. Are they? I envision them being similar because they're...
Molasses is just pure, dark, burned sugar to me. Right. And licorice is like that absinthe, herbal. Yeah. There's an interesting thing that I read about since the last time where, so Beam bought Centauri.
Right.
And they also bought Bowmore.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have an American whiskey company, a Japanese whiskey company, and a Scotch company, right? Traditional Scotch company. So proper Japanese, proper Scotch. They just released something, I think mid last year. It's a Bowmore that was aged in Mizunara casks, which is a Japanese wood. And it's something that's never been done with Scotch. So they're kind of like they're getting away from that. It's a blending of those two styles of creating whiskey. Yamazaki does one in Mizunara casks, and I guess it's really difficult to make the barrels out of that wood because it's something like the trees are like 400 years old. They have to be some old ass tree, and they don't bend really well, so they leak a lot, or they're really problematic, and it's really hard to work with. The flavor's so distinctive that it's worth doing it.
Wow. So even despite like whatever waste and hassle you get,
fantastic whiskey.
400 year old, you said, like
it's probably reasonably hard to work with.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like I don't know. I mean, I don't know any of the science behind it, but the idea of having something so rare and ancient, and I mean, there's something very exotic about that, And
what I don't know is how often they reuse the cask. Like, how many times can you use the same barrel?
Before it falls apart.
I guess, yeah. I don't really know. I did try that Yamazaki Mizunara in Japan once, and it's really fantastic. But like at the time, I didn't really know enough. Yeah. I might not even still know enough to tell the difference. But like this is maybe you could tell two flavors out of this, right? So it's probably impossible to tell. Like, oh, this was made with a particular type of wood. There's that little tinge to it.
I don't know.
Somebody who drinks a lot of whiskey can
Yeah.
actually tell you that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a really, I believe it's really, like, just because I have the beer experience that I have,
Right.
I feel like it takes a lot of experience and a lot of actual study and just trying different types of whiskey.
You were brewing your own beer last year or the year before that?
Year before that, but I brewed the beer for my own wedding, right?
Yeah.
Here's why I like bourbon. two of my favorite beers are bourbon barrel aged beers, right?
Okay.
Right.
So
What beers are those?
in this gun,
Mm-hmm.
they have two different variants of bourbon barrel aged beer,
All right.
and Kentucky Bourbon Barrel, amazing beer. There was a restaurant by me that had it on tap, and when it comes on tap, for whatever reason, I just like the carbonation a little bit better. I think
Yep.
that's what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
I'm
Something
not.
about it seems fresher too. Like the Ginger Man, they've got all
Yeah.
that European beer on tap in it. I don't
What
know.
is it?
The Ginger Man. It's over on 32nd Street or something like that, and they have
Close
about
to here?
what?
Close to here, or is it like?
I believe it's East Side. It's been a while since I was there,
Yeah.
but they have tons of imported beers on tap. I mean, what is it, something like 100 or something like that, or
Jesus.
I mean, they've got.
They have 130 beers on tap.
How many
They're-
does Tourist have? 20?
Yeah, but Torst, the
I mean,
selection
just
is
the
amazing.
space has got to be.
Remember, Torst is mostly owned by Evil Twin, and Evil Twin is big on stouts,
Wait, the Evil Twin owns Tourist?
partially.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And so when I went out
That's
to
what they
San
always
Francisco
have.
and I went to
Yeah.
McKellar, right?
Yeah.
The Evil Twin of Evil Twin is McKellar. They're actually twins, and they hate each other. So McKellar started his brand of beer, and they got into a fight. So the guy who owns Evil Twin moved to the East Coast as far away from McKellar's brew pub as possible.
Wow.
Started Evil Twin Brewery, and they're both very successful. That's the great part of
The
it.
only thing that brings them together.
Yes, and when I went to McKellar, I was like, McKellar stouts are almost as good as Evil Twin's Tourist. The waitress gave me the dirtiest look, and I didn't realize that.
You didn't know the
Twin-
connection between them? There's different. People love. They love
And I didn't
beer in a
either.
different way.
And I didn't mean to draw it to a beer conversation, but my favorite type
It's,
of
it's
beer.
It's
never,
really-
it's never
it's
gone
a
there, so
bourbon
actually
barrel.
it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Bourbon Lager puts out the Black Ops, which is a bourbon barrel.
Yes.
aged
Really?
beer, and it's
How do you like
fantastic,
that?
yeah. You didn't really?
Do you like it?
I do. I liked it. Like, it's weird because you have it every year and it's a different batch and it tastes different.
No, that's just beer. Like
I
even
know,
the
but
best
like,
breweries
there's been
with the best
some that have
filtration
been
systems.
beautiful that I've loved, but I don't know whether it's because it's the first time I ever had it and it was something so different and like interesting, and I thought, wow, this is really fantastic. I can taste the bourbon, I can taste the oranges, but now when I drink it, I'm like, wow, it's not quite like the first experience I had. And there's some whiskeys that are like that, like the old Yamazaki 18s, like maybe 6 or something years ago. When I first had it, I was like, wow, this is really fantastic. And I had it again later, and it tasted more like you ever had like maple walnut, that flavor? It's like a little bit of like little bitter and like a little kind of a funky sweet thing.
Mhm.
And I didn't like it as much as I did the first time. It just didn't have that same edge, and I thought maybe it was because of the variation. It's just it's like a live, ongoing thing. So the flavor is going to change, but
Does the
also
flavor change, or you like it tasted different to you?
tasted different to me. I don't really know. I didn't drink it 100 times in between. I drank it once, like a bunch of years ago, and then once here, and also like one I bought in LA, and then one I bought here, and then I have another bottle of it. I probably drank 3 bottles of it so far over the last like 5 years.
Okay.
And I have another bottle of it. That's we're gonna do a tasting of, and
Alright.
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what it tastes like because I'm obviously I have a more refined palate now.
Can somebody describe what it means for the whiskey to be smooth?
I
Yeah,
can
that's a good
describe my
question.
perception of it. Like my perception is like, with a whiskey like this, you take a sip and there's like a sting to your tongue. When it's smoother to me, you get less
Like
of that.
that's the one.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's the exact.
Sorry,
reaction.
I just went down the wrong tube.
That's all right.
So the thing is, like, this is 92 proof, which is fine, which is probably pretty normal. It's usually between 43 and this is 46. Most of the Japanese are 43%. So
43% as opposed to 90-something percent.
this is 46%. So this is a little bit hotter, but it's actually not. It's pretty smooth. So I think the things that make it smooth are like if it's sugary, it's thicker, it's creamier, or if it's aged longer, it just tends to have less of a bite to it.
Okay.
Generally, the alcohol content will cause it to be sharp, but if it's a higher alcohol content and it's still smooth, to me it feels like a higher quality drink.
Okay.
So this is 96%, which is a little higher than the Japanese stuff, and it's still very smooth.
Yeah.
But I think that's also part of just the fact that it's a bourbon. It's really sweet because it's sugary.
Yeah, bourbons. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're known for a little bit more caramel flavor, a little bit more sweetness to them.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
like? Does a bourbon have to be a single malt mixed malt?
Not that I know of. I don't think so.
Is there any requirement on that? I know that like certain people are like, I only like single malt whiskeys. I only like mixed malt whiskeys. I know Johnny's a big mixed malt brand, even though
You're supposed to get chestnut in here too. If you pick that up,
I didn't pick up chestnut. Did you?
I'm not getting nothing. I'm getting caramel. I'm getting like heavy caramel flavors.
Let's see if we can find this bourbon single malt, or does bourbon have to be single malt or blended? Does it say single malt?
Let's ask our viewers.
Is it blended malt or mixed malt, or is that the same
Chime
time?
in.
Mixed and blended, probably the same thing.
Yes.
But actually, Yamazaki, they call it single malt, but they actually blend other single malts, and I think they could still call it single malt. It's not single barrel, it's like just a single malt.
Right.
So I think you can, you know what it is? No, they can blend barrels of the same batch, and it's still a single malt. But if you start blending different types, like Hibiki's like blended from different types.
Right.
Yamazaki, I don't have a bottle here, but Yamazaki's got a ton of different, like if you go to the distillery in Osaka, they have a notable gallery area with like hundreds of flasks of different colors, so it's like darker to lighter. They have a master mixer room where they're like picking up eyedroppers of different types and like mixing it and blending it, and that becomes like the next generation of whatever they want to release.
Wow.
And I think they're all still single malts because they're all still from the same batch, but they're like maybe aged a little longer, right? So the single malt from like 8 years and 10 years and 15 and 20, they mix them all together and it becomes like Yamazaki's special edition.
Okay. Nice.
It's a different whiskey.
Yeah,
because you're mixing the single malts.
Yeah, like Yamazaki 18, there's a guy at the whiskey shop in Brooklyn. It's a little whiskey store around the corner from me on North 11th. It's this like tiny little sort of, I don't know, it looks like an alleyway, but it's like, they have a lot of really great stuff. And they had a Yamazaki representative there who was like talking about what makes up the different Yamazakis. And the 12 is actually a different makeup than the 18. The 18's got more of a sherry component, and the 12 is just like there's 3 different ingredients and like the ratios are different per. It's not just 18 is not the 12 aged longer. It's 18 is a different makeup aged longer than the 12.
Okay.
It's like a different component, like a compound that will last longer.
And this is in their brand, not necessarily standard, right?
That's right, just theirs. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what I think that's what they're doing is different than like, the Scotches.
Can you break it down so like single barrel and single malt again? So like single barrel means like it's aged and developed in one barrel. It's not transferred over to multiple barrels like some.
Yeah, like Jack Daniel's got a lot of single barrel stuff.
Okay.
And it's supposed to have just a slightly unique flavor because it's just one barrel. They're not trying to blend, because if you take one barrel, you get that one flavor, and you can only produce like so many bottles out of it. But if you take 100 barrels and you mix them all together, then you get 10,000 bottles that are all the same flavor.
2,000 bottles of flavor. Okay.
Versus some that might be
right.
more sweet.
Because every barrel's got its own kind of like texture to it.
They just don't blend it. Probably just to make it a little different.
So then, what is it? What exactly does single malt mean?
You brewed it. You distilled it with one malt, and there's different types of malts you can use into all of the whiskeys. Right? It's like with a beer, the grain is very important, but malt is also important in whiskey.
Okay.
Right. So
it's I think that's a mixture of different malts from.
Right. You could make whiskey out of 2 malts. You can make whiskey out of 3 malts. You could mix two single malts together.
Let's do a final cheers and then we'll sign off.
All right.
Thanks to Mike Cavaliere and Rich Ferri for coming by and having a little drink.
Thanks to Dennis Pacific for all this fun little shindig together.
What is he throwing together?
This fun little shindig.
And thanks to Mike and Dennis for having me over. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.